30% of world oil production comes from stripper wells. In the US, for example, there are more than 620,000 stripper oil wells and 350,000 idle oil wells. These oil wells become plugged or abandoned when it is no longer cost-effective to extract oil from them. However, using new and more economical technologies, these stripper wells can be made cost-effective again. Vann pumping systems extract oil using automated systems. This makes them more efficient and more effective at extracting oil from stripper wells. Vann pumping systems have four main objectives: reduce lifting costs per barrel, reduce maintenance and workover costs, enhance production, eliminate contamination. Vann pumping systems have many advantages over traditional oil extraction technologies: reduction of total lifting cost, no workover needed and reduction in maintenance, longer stroke, operator safety, environmentally pleasing. So how does it work? Once the well no longer produces oil with natural pressure, other methods of extraction are used. Through the tubing of the downhole, an extraction pump is inserted connected to the surface by a long chain of rods. The rising and lowering of the pump creates a change in pressure, causing the oil to be sucked up through the tubing. The traditional equipment used to create this suction is known as a pump jack. These pump jacks, also known as nodding donkeys, employ a mechanical system with a continuous cycle. Pump jacks are very big, very heavy and very noisy. Vann pumping systems change this chain of rods for internationally patented mechanical cable, which significantly reduces the load in extraction. This cable rises and falls with the pump, which is actuated by its own automated method. Vann pumping systems utilize hydraulic forces to generate movement in the well, requiring smaller, lighter and more silent equipment. Vann pumping systems use their own patented valves, which help to better the efficiency of the extraction pump. Hundreds of rods can be connected to reach the entire length of the tubing. The constant pushing and pulling of these rods by continuous movement of a pump jack is extremely strenuous, and the stress on this system frequently causes failures. So a traditional system that produces a high yield initially is damaging in the long term and can cause long periods of recuperation where there is no production at all. These periods can cost anywhere between $15,000 and $150,000 a year. Vann pumping systems don't use interconnected rods. Instead, they use a simple cable. The hydraulics work in a way to push the pump up the tubing from the bottom so that there is no pulling involved, eliminating any stress on the tubing. The pump then comes back down at a rate regulated by computer. The total weight of the cable of a Vann pumping system weighs upwards of 40% less than the rods of a traditional system. This means that there is very minimal stress on the system and it requires less force, therefore eliminating the need to stop production. The installation of a traditional pump jack takes an average of 3 days and costs $45,000 while the Vann pumping systems require only 8 hours for full installation, the cost of which are only $7,500, halving the cost of traditional oil pumping machinery. The total operational cost of a Vann pumping system is 5 times cheaper than the traditional methods. The cost of running a mechanical pump jack is 2,190 kilowatt-hours per day, while the smaller and lighter weight Vann pumping systems cost only 215 kilowatt-hours per day, over 10 times cheaper. With such large and heavy parts, pump jacks take 2 days for maintenance and can cost between $10,000 and $75,000. A Vann pumping system is entirely enclosed, meaning that there is less that can go wrong. Typical maintenance is just 4 hours and comes included, therefore costing nothing extra. Pump jacks typically yield 60% production, whereas the automated lift technology employed by Vann pumping systems allows it to yield 90% production. A diameter of up to 75 meters can be contaminated by a traditional mechanical pump jack. A Vann pumping system, due to its self-containment, does not cause any contamination at all. Pump jacks are eyesores that can reach up to 30 feet tall, which visually contaminate. Vann pumping machines are 10 times smaller, consisting only of a small box and a thin tower, and so fit more subtly into any landscape. The reduction of load on a Vann pumping system permits it to use lighter equipment. Traditional mechanical pump jacks have large and heavy moving parts and can be a safety hazard to workers, whereas van pumping hydraulic systems are totally enclosed and have no dangerous moving parts. A pump jack has to be checked on site, but the computer-controlled van pumping machine can be checked via satellite from any location. Van pumping systems have many advantages over traditional systems. They are smaller, lighter, less expensive, more efficient, more versatile, and are easier to install and maintain. Van pumping systems will help you to reduce your lifting cost per barrel, reduce your maintenance and workover cost, enhance your production, eliminate your contamination. Van pumping systems.